What's up, everyone, and welcome to the first video of a new series I'm calling Out of a Hat. Our first game that we're going to focus on is a game called Dirt Track Devils, but before we get to that, what the hell is Out of a Hat? Let me fill you in. If you know anything about me, you know how I like to lean into the random. My Twitch channel has aspects of randomness sprinkled in, and my old podcast called Procedurally Generated was built entirely on the concept of randomness. For that show, we'd take a list of 100,000 plus games, randomize it, take the top 3, and learn as much as we could about them. We'd focus on things like development, gameplay, unique aspects, reception, etc. Well, with Out of a Hat, the concept is essentially the same, except now I'll be focusing on a single game per video. These videos aren't intended to be a critical look at the games, but more an exploration of the game and its significance or lack thereof to the industry. I'm only as capable as the tools I have at hand, so if there's things I missed, I invite you to chime in as well. Now, before we dive in, if this sounds interesting to you, or by the end of the video you really enjoyed this, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, head on over to twitch.tv/CW719 to catch me live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, onto the game. Dirt Track Devils was first developed and released by vingt-et-un Systems Corporation, and a big shout out to the internet because, my god, I was not even in the same ballpark with how I was trying to pronounce the developer's name. The game originally released for the PlayStation 2 on October 20th, 2002. It was first published by D3 Publisher Inc. and then ported to the PlayStation 3 by Midas Interactive Entertainment a decade later on April 18th, 2012. Let's go old school and check out what the back of the box has to say. Can you keep up with the Dirt Track Devils? Give it your best as you race diverse ATVs across snowy mountain passes, treacherous forest tracks, and sunny beaches. These tracks test the limits of your driving skill. Power slide, jump, and skid your way to victory in the challenging off-road race mode, take on the time trial challenge in the ever-changing Gymkhana event, or beat your buddies in the versus battle race mode. Here are the bullet points from the back of the box. Off-road race mode, a 10-race tournament against 5 fearsome AI opponents. Great Gymkhana mode, dozens of race variations mean you never race the same track twice. Versus battle mode, lets 2 players fight it out wheel to wheel. A variety of off-road tracks, master mud, sand, snow, and tarmac. 6 vehicles to master, from buggies to pickup trucks. Take to the track in sun, rain, or fog. Okay, alright. I think we know what we're getting into here, but before we take a closer look at the game, let's figure out who worked on Dirt Track Devils first. vingt-et-un is a Japanese developer based out of Osaka. I find that interesting because apparently vingt-et-un means 21 in French and is the French name for blackjack. Without Google Translate and the ability to hear how words are pronounced, I'd still be over here saying vingt-et-un like a heathen. Their website is entirely in Japanese, and while I did use Google Translate on it, their credits page had some problems. So I'm going to pull much of the upcoming information from my old standby, Moby Games. Now, none of vingt-et-un's games both prior to and after Dirt Track Devils ring any bells for me. Their first 4 games were Jimmy Houston's Bass Tournament USA 97 on PC, Action Bass on PlayStation, Fisherman's Bass Club for PlayStation 2, and Surikichi Sanpei the Suri for PlayStation. I think I said that right. I call out those first 4 games specifically because all 4 are fishing games. Their 5th game was Dirt Track Devils, and vingt-et-un never ventured back into the world of fishing sims. The rest of their releases included more racing games, some brawlers, and a couple other genres, but nothing too noteworthy until they stopped being credited as sole developers in 2006 with Special Forces and The Adventures of Darwin. While they haven't seemed to have handled primary development for any games recently, they have been busy with additional support. They've been credited as providing additional development on 2020's Resident Evil 3 and 2021's Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. So let's take a closer look at the game, and there isn't a much better place to start than the title screen. This game has a couple of different names, and while I drew Dirt Track Devils, the version of the game I played was called Simple 2000 Series Volume 11, The Off-Road Buggy, or more simply just The Off-Road Buggy. They're one and the same, it's just that Dirt Track Devils is the non-Japanese release name. The Simple 2000 series, Volume 11, refers to a large number of budget-priced games that D3 publisher published. The 2000, or 1500, which is a separate series, refers to the approximate cost in Japanese yen for each game released under that umbrella. Originally, the Simple series began with generic versions of games featuring common gameplay mechanics like tennis, racing, and board games. The series expanded to genres like side-scrolling shooters and RPGs though when the PlayStation 2 arrived. While D3 always did the publishing, several developers would contribute games, including vingt-et-un. The Simple series covered multiple console generations and in total right around 400 unique pieces of software, both games and non-games, were released under the Simple moniker. Important games that spawned from this series include the Earth Defense Force series and the One Chanbara series. Back to the game. On our menu screen we find our modes: Off-Road Race, Gymkhana Race, Versus Battle Race, and Free Race. You make your selection and choose your ride. Knowing full well there were only 6 rides, it still felt disappointing to see such a small number of vehicle choices. The 6 options are the Speedstar Buggy, Nitro Ninja, AT4, Monster Hummer, Rally Monster, and Crazy Truck. That's not a good name for a vehicle. Each vehicle comes with its own stats and character art depicting the driver. Full disclosure, those character drawings might be the best part of the game. There, I said it. Now that our expectations are properly set, let's see how the racing feels. It's not good. You slip and slide all over the course while bouncing around uncontrollably. Your vehicle drives like it has the stiffest shocks or no shocks to speak of. The game advertises the ability to power slide, but it's less of a power slide and more akin to hydroplaning or perhaps a black ice type situation. I tried 4 different vehicles, and while I noticed a difference in top speeds, it never felt like one controlled better than another. On top of the awful handling, the AI is brutish and always seems to have a lot of speed despite rarely taking what one would consider a good line through corners. And I can't possibly forget the ability to drive straight through the trees in the first race. All in all, the driving leaves a lot to be desired. Moving on to the various modes and what they present. Off-Road mode claims to be a 10-race tournament against 5 fearsome AI opponents. Well, there's no bracket that I saw, but it very much is win or go home. In my first and second attempts, I got 3rd place each time, and my reward was a quick trip back to the title screen. In my 3rd race, I finally got 1st. This time, my reward was to race the same track again. Not backwards, not mirrored, the exact same track. In a game with only 5 tracks to offer, they decided to have you race each track twice, back to back, to make the 10-race tournament format work. After winning that race a second time, I had a chance to finally race on a new course complete with rain. The issues with the driving were a bit more exacerbated due to this race, and I got 4th. Boom, title screen. Yeah, all done with off-road race mode. I decided then to jump into the Gymkhana event. According to Wikipedia, what separates Gymkhana from traditional autocross events is that the Gymkhana requires drivers to perform reversals, 180-degree spins, 360-degree spins, parking boxes, figure eights, and other advanced skills. The name Gymkhana is wasted on this mode. In these races, you race against the clock while you navigate a course with obstacles. These obstacles are just large areas cordoned off in the middle of the track that require you to drive along the edge. That's it. It's not Gymkhana. It's not even unique. It's annoying. Finally, the Versus mode allows you to race another player's split screen, and in Free Race mode, you simply drive the track at your leisure with whatever vehicle and weather you'd like. And that's all there is to this game. There aren't very many games from the PS2 generation that I can claim to simply never have heard of. But this is one, and I totally understand why now. There's absolutely no reward for doing anything in the game, and it is not fun to play. The only saving grace for this game is knowing that it originated as one of the Simple series games and was meant to be a budget experience. I think this game is bad even as a budget title, but I'll be a bit more lenient on vingt-et-un for that reason and that reason alone. It is encouraging to see them still in the industry and providing assistance on some big releases. I don't know if they intend to go back to developing their own stuff in the future, but Dirt Track Devils can probably be one that they avoid revisiting. Thank you all so much for checking out episode 1 of Out of a Hat. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you remember Dirt Track Devils fondly, or you know more about the development of the game, please let me know in the comments.